Star Wars visionary creator George Lucas is firmly on the side of using AI in movies. Of course he is. Stop using "you were the chosen one" memes. He put this in theaters. Watch around Anakin's ears and mouth.
He taught his apprentice everything he knew. Then his apprentice killed him in his sleep.
If George Lucas had access to AI when he was directing the Star Wars prequels, he absolutely would have used AI in the Star Wars prequels. Lucas was fond of a technique called digital compositing, where he would melt different takes together of, let's say, Obi-Wan was doing something he liked in one take, and Qui-Gon was doing something else he liked in the other take. Sometimes it looked pretty sloppy, like when Anakin's face morphed, or a different one I can point to when footage of Anakin rewound briefly after he says, "I will be the most powerful Jedi ever" in Attack of the Clones. He explains the technique in the documentary The Beginning, Making Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which is on YouTube. I'm going to let you watch it for yourself. It's at around 45, maybe 46 minutes in, and the editor can barely hide his feelings for what he dubs cyber directing, cherry-picking elements from different takes and splicing them into one final take. On the topic of AI, Lucas recently said to the publication A Rabbit's Foot, "Artificial intelligence means it's much easier for us to make movies. It's very much like sitting here saying, well, I believe the horse and the buggy is really where it's at. These cars, they break down, they need gas, there's all kinds of problems with them, and pretty soon they'll be making them into tanks, and then they'll be killing people. It's terrible. There's nothing you can do about it. That's progress. It's the future." End quote. Now let's put that in context. George Lucas has an interesting take on directing, and that he views it very technically and doesn't communicate that well with actors, struggles with dialogue, and sometimes loses the bigger picture in favor of perfecting smaller elements. He has a lot of good qualities in his directing style, but treating actors like artists who have vision and layered emotionality instead of tools in a toolbox is not one of them. And of course, the prequels and even the original trilogy special editions heavily featured fully digital sets and inserted characters, and was one of the first to embrace green screen filmmaking. On one hand, it is pioneering, and on the other, a lot of this straight up looks terrible, especially in contrast with the artfulness and ingenuity of the rest of the production design and craftsman practical work of ILM. And say what you will of the digital characters, but they did originate from original ideas, designs, and actor performances, whereas AI would do none of that. A soulless copy of a copy of a copy that means and says nothing that hasn't been iterated better many times before. The point of this video isn't Lucas slander. I think he's an extremely intentional creative visionary, and I'm a huge fan of his work. The point is that when you, in a position of creative power, don't value creative people for their creativity nor humanity, you'll tend to end up with results that don't feel authentic or natural and may be reviled in the eyes of many. Christopher Nolan would never.